The Sandusky River Valley Beekeepers. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Now I'm going to start out with the treasurer's report. I'll have Tammy read that off.
As of the end of May, we have $6,220.66, and then 25 in our state.
Thanks, Tammy.
We clap.
Yes.
Has everybody signed in? First of all, everybody signed in.
All right, also we have a sign-in sheet up here for both visitors and members. So if you want to make sure you get signed in. And I want to talk a little bit about the topic look ahead. So, we just had our mite treatment workshop. And, that was a follow-up to Jamie Walters coming when he came here in March. So he came and talked about chemical control of Varroa. And then we just got done with a mite treatment workshop where we actually got in a hive, did a mite wash. We also talked about mite treatment strategies. And so in July, Tom Rathbun is going to be doing a presentation on pests and diseases. And so Tom's going to wrap up, part of his presentation is wrapping up the mite control. And Tom's going to talk a lot about where does all these mites come from? I mean, why is there so many of them? How long do they live? And so it's kind of that other piece about, the details about mites. And so if you recall, that was something we said we wanted to do this year. We thought this was a good year to revisit pests and diseases for the club. So July meeting will be the end of our talking about mite control. Also, August coming up, I was going to have the OSBA come and do a presentation. But I thought, I'm thinking I'd like to do an open mic night next month. So bring your questions next month. Let's talk. We got a lot of heavy hitters in the club. And I think it'd be good to let's just kind of facilitate a discussion next month around topics that we want to talk about. Those questions, those nagging questions. And it'll be a pass the mic around kind of a night. I thought that might be more beneficial than bringing somebody in from the outside. I don't feel like we get to do that enough. Also, coming up in September is the picnic. And I'm hoping we can talk Dr. Stone into having that out of his place again.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that, September 10th.
September 10th. So write that down. That'll be at Dr. Stone's. There'll be more information coming out on that. Also, another workshop, this Saturday, we're doing a hive inspection workshop out at the barn. Primarily for new beekeepers, but it's open to anybody. We're just going to open a few hives and go through them. And we're just going to talk through what we see and try to build some experience. At this point, new beekeepers should have drawn out comb in their hives, and there should be eggs and larvae and a queen, and we just like to get into a hive and just kind of go through it, talk about it, learn from each other. So that'll be this Saturday at 10 a.m. Out at our barn. Later in the year, I would like to do another workshop on sugar boards, preparing sugar boards and winter patties. Tom Rathbun did that a couple of years ago, and we got really good feedback on that. So it's probably time we revisit that again. So that's kind of a look ahead of what's coming up. I wanted to mention fairs. So the local fairs, you're all going to be getting an email update on what's going on. So far, we've committed to Erie County and Sandusky County. Huron County is open. We're not sure about that one yet. Usually, John Schick takes care of the Huron County Fair. I would like to do something in Ottawa County. I was hoping Terry Lowe would be here tonight, but folks from Ottawa County, as many members as we're getting from Ottawa County, it'd be nice to do something over there at that fair. Seneca County, often they want to charge us a lot of money to come and be at the fair, but if they don't do that, maybe we could put together something at Seneca County Fair. The way I would envision this working this year is we're gonna look for a volunteer from that county just to coordinate like the schedule. People come into the fair to work the table. Usually I make sure that we have equipment there. I got a tent and we make sure everything gets set up. We pay for your ticket. If you want to sell your honey when you're there, you can sell your honey. So more to come on that. If it's something you might be interested in, look for that email. Kim will be getting it out to us. The month of May, busy month. We had the 4-H country clovers that was out at the barn. I did the Kiwanis Mother's Day dinner over in Tiffin. Nice group of people. And then I did the Clyde Senior Center last week. And now I got Fremont Senior Center after me. If anybody wants to do a senior center, let me know. Actually, it was a lot of fun. June presentations. This week we've got a group coming in from a local church, a youth group. They're going to be stopping out at the barn in the afternoon one day. Kim is doing the Boonville Public Library. And where's Kathleen Kahn? Kathleen Kahn, you're doing something up at the Sandusky Mall.
I have to have that.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
She won't let me. It's their insurance.
What you don't know right now is that they've already received it.
Oh,
They sent an email to Ohio State Beekeepers.
they said, I gave her Peggy's.
Yep.
Okay, so she's already got
And
it.
I've got a copy for you too.
All right.
What we're discussing is our copy of our liability insurance with the club. You know, when you're part of the club, you know, we have annual dues. One of the things that we do with those dues is we buy insurance to cover us, like if, you know, something happens, anything can happen, but we get that through OSBA. So some places when you present, they want to see a certificate of insurance. One item I've got open right now is June 16th, I was contacted. There's a 4-H day camp that they're looking for somebody to do a couple of presentations on that day. Yeah, Dale.
Just to back up on your insurance, does that insurance cover on storms, they go out for storms?
No, it does not. So we have, so I was contacted, the 4-H day camp. This was, I contacted them and asked them for more information because they didn't tell where it was at. It was an ohiostate.edu email, so I couldn't tell. They just sent a message to our webpage, and it's a 419 area code number. So I left them a message this morning and haven't heard anything. So if they want some help, they'll get back to me. And so now I want to talk about why we're here tonight. Tonight we got an interesting topic tonight, and all of you know Michael Gergely. Mike's been in the club for a long time. What, 2016, I think is what my record is. Yeah, a long time. But you know, I always you talk to me long, you always hear me talk about brood box management. And I always see these YouTube videos of people who manages hives using a single brood box. And I always think to myself, man, how could you do that? I'm lucky to keep my hive from swarming with 2 brood boxes. And so I'm always trying to read about brood box management and, you know, those things about how much nectar is in my hive, how much room does the queen have to lay. And so we got Mike, he's doing a presentation tonight. Mike has a company called Red Creek Honey, and he's going to talk about managing single hive brood management. He's going to do single hive brood management. So Mike manages hives using a single brood box. So Mike, with that, the handouts are being passed out now. Hey, let's give Mike a big round of applause.
How's that? Everybody hear me? We want to go.
Yeah, maybe it's water.
Good evening. Glasses. I started out in with double hive just like everybody else. And thought it was an easier way to manage the bees. I got into do honey production, why I got into it. And like everybody else, I became a YouTube junkie, would watch tons of YouTube on it to learn. And I don't take credit for any of this. There's a lot of videos on it. I've listed a few in this outline that I did. And I really liked what they did. Canadian Beekeepers is one of them. Devin Ron is another one. And then Bob Binney is another one that I kind of watch a lot to see how they manage their hives. And there's a lot of reasons I got into it, one being honey production. I think when you do double brood, you lose a lot of honey over the winter. And you guys get into your double deeps, you'll see maybe they're still down on the bottom and the top is still full of honey. 60, 70 pounds that you don't extract. And so that's why I really got into it. So this is my configuration. I figured I would start, well, actually back to the outline. The reasons why I did it, my average yield was higher. The assessing was easier. You're looking for the queen, you're treating, your brood, all under one box. You don't have to go find her in two. You know where she's at because you put her there for the queens. And you use less equipment. So I figured I'd start off with my winter configuration. Basically what I do is I go into winter. I like to carry 60 pounds. You figure you got about 25 pounds in equipment weight, give or take, plus the bees. So I would like to go 65 pounds, 70 pounds at the most of surplus honey. And I weigh it. And what I do, I bought a little scale that you just tip. And you're weighing the box, and it weighs about half. So it's going to weigh half. So whatever you have, you double it. That kind of gives you an accurate measurement of what you got in here. You could take a UPS scale and slide it under. I thought this was easier to where it just hooks right on the front here and lifts up and weighs.
Mike, where did you get that?
Miller Bee Manufacturer. I got this at the Hive Life conference. I think it's where I saw it. But yeah, Miller's Bees. It was like 20-some bucks or something like that. So I figured I'd start how I go into winter and then kind of work my way throughout the year. So I do in the fall I do I treat with thymol. And I do with a solid bottom board, a deep. I put in I use corrugated plastic for my windbreak. I used to use roofing paper, like a lot of, and I was tired of stapling my boxes. This came from Vino Farms. This is his idea, where you take it, you make it, and you slap it right off, and it folds up easy. So I did a thing where I slid it, so I made a little water runoff and snow runoff. So it's protecting the hives, so it doesn't really matter what direction you have, you're gonna sheet that water off the front of the hive. It's not gonna go inside, or at least limit very much, they're very little. But what I do is I make sure I've got 60 pounds plus here. I put a feeder shim on, and then I add my quilt box. Burlap, sawdust, whatever, put on there. I brought this bottom board here to show you. I took and drilled out a hole and I put a bolt in it. All my solid bottom boards are out, so I just brought this one. I use this for treatment for OA, so I go through back door. Instead of coming through the front. So I'll put pollen patties, brood them up, and then about October, we'll shut them down, make sure we got the weight, make sure, you know, we got robbing coming in October. I'll seal this off with tape just to make sure the robbing bees don't have an easier way to get in. Okay.
Mike, you said you use pollen and the late fall.
Yeah, I will feed pollen. You gotta watch how much you feed. Small hive beetles, they'll go and tear it up. So I will go, I want that brood box as big as I can get it going.
So keep the queen laying as long as possible.
And then about, you know, after the hunting, you know, hopefully you get a fall flow, that's what I try to shoot for too. You keep her going and then shut her off. And then just pack it full of sugar syrup. In winter, I check the hive weight again. I'll use my scale. If I see that the weight has shifted, I'll put Hive Alive, I'll make a sugar brick. I'll put something, you know, all you're doing is lifting this up, putting it in and putting it right back. Not really disturbing them. Kind of, and then if you even want to check with these, what I like about the quilt box, I usually put a burlap bottom here, and you can pull back the burlap. You can see your brood nest right here without really just disrupting. But just sometime in January, I will shoot them with an OA. Right here through the back. I'll get a nice day. 45, 50, closer to probably the 50, maybe around. I'll go through the back and I'll blast them.
What's it away?
Oxalic acid, vapor, sorry. I got a little, I bought a little gas vat that I use. They've got a lot of different on the market. They got the nice $400 or $500 one that, I mean, this is nice, but you're doing 30, 40 hives, it takes a little bit of time. It heats up, you gotta let it cool down. So you got pros and cons with this, but it works. Goes right to the back. If I find any dead outs, get rid of it, clean it up, close it up, dress it in the springtime. Obviously, you don't want robbing going in. Then in winter, late winter, February, March, you kind of try to do a quick assessment of what you got going on here. And I try to count frames. And you can put as much as you want or as little as you want this, but single hive management does require a little more management than double hive. It does. Where it starts to get a little tricky is more in the springtime, because now you have all the bees down here. Okay, you don't have two layers. You know, you got everybody down here. So late winter, we're in February, March. Got a good weather in maybe late February, weather permitting. I'll get in there as long as I have enough frames of bees. I'll try to put in Apple-Var. I'm a believer in rotating treatment. I don't try to do the same treatment over and over again. I pretty much use oxalic acid, Apple-Var, and thymol. Those are my two that I try to do every year. gets tricky. I mean, this year was a really good, spring. We had weather to get into them. Some years you may not get into them until late March, not make an assessment. This year we were able to, and I was able to treat them, get the full 45, 50 days, whatever it is, to do it. Then I'll start with pollen patties. Same time. I go with global pollen patties. I am trying to do. I'm doing experiments, probably not the right time. I'm going for my master's for University of Montana, and I'd like to try. They did a testing with bananas, and there's a certain stage of the banana that did a decent job in feeding the bees. So I'm going to try to do a little research on that and see if there's any difference. It's kind of bad timing because too much resources out there, and I think they're always going to pick the natural stuff over your patties and whatnot. But in March, your nest is going to start turning over. So you want to make way for the youth. In spring, I take these off. These are pretty easy to make. They're made with black Gorilla tape. I bought them in 4x8 sheets. Laid the super down and just kept rotating it. Put a crease on, leave yourself about 1/4 of an inch room, maybe 1/2 inch. To allow for the crease in the corner. And then I think each sheet you can get 3 of these and a couple roofs out of them. Sheets run about $25 a piece, give or take. I like them because I can put them away. I got them tied up in my loft. And I'm not doing it every year. Yeah.
You can buy those online, 4x8.
You know, I actually went through a printing company. In Lorraine. And he got them for me. I bought them and buy like 5 sheets at a time. Maybe I spent $100-some. But yeah, you can look anywhere and ask them. It's your core class. It's your political science is really what it's made out of. And you can get a lot of years out of this. You know, this beats stapling. Every year you're out there messing around, putting 50 staples in your box, you know, and what do you do with that paper at the end of the year, or then at the beginning of this, you know, at the end of the season? Throw it away, wrap it up, I don't know, I used to throw it away, it's like a lot of waste, so. I like this is the method I'm gonna use. But on the lazier part, I'm also looking at plastic box, because if I'm doing this with the core class, I might look into the plastic, less painting, less a whole lot of things, yeah.
What do you use an entrance reducer or no?
I do. I put in the your standard entrance reducer, but I put on a Guardian beetle. Okay, and I just put it right here, 2 screws, and that's my winner. Entrance reducer. So in springtime, what I do is once the weather permits, I like to try to equalize the brood. I go through and I try to get 4 to 5 frames per colony. Gives equal strength out to your apiary. This year was a little challenging with the weather. Everybody brewed up fast. This year was a tough year to kind of stay on top of this. It's very challenging with working full time and trying to get into this. It caught me a little off guard this year. I did have a number of swarm cells like everybody else, but I utilized them. I must have 15, 3 queen castles plus another one that I can go ahead and just drop them in and raise queens. But you do have to pay attention. So as my 4 to 5 frames grow, I'll take and try to put them in each other hive to help boost. Like they say, you want to put them in good hives. Sick hives, it doesn't matter. It's not going to make a difference. You got a thick hive. Adding a frame of brood is not gonna change anything. So this is where the single hive, so you're starting to brood up. And what I'll do, so I'll peel this off. I'll peel this off in the springtime. I don't use crown boards. This is my crown board. We call it double bubble or reflect text or something of that nature. This is my migratory cover. I cut a hole in it. So when it comes time for feeding. Use a gallon feeder. Okay. I'll feed them. I'll have my shim on there as well if I'm still doing pollen. And I'll just keep it like this. So when you start getting into later April, or when you're starting to get some resources in, you're done feeding them. This is where I think single hive management gives you a lot of flexibility. So normally you would take and you'd add another deep. So hopefully you've got drawn out foundation. And if you at least give them 3 or 4 that they can come up through the middle and let them build it out. Now what this does, it does a couple things. You can take out of this and make a split. Right away. You can come back. You got nurse bees, brood, larvae up here in the upper box. You can take the funnel. Take your bees, take them in. You don't have to really look for the queen. If you want to, you can go ahead. Make sure if you see her, put her in, you're done with the box then. You don't have to really go any further. You know she's down there. Take this off. Give it a day or two, the nurse bees will come up. You got to split. If you want to take this, you'll put it on another, start another colony. You want to take 3 or 4 frames off, start another colony, go right ahead. And then what you would do, deciding which way you want to go, you would just put your frames back in here and then let them start putting nectar in here. You don't, if you choose not to do splits with this, and basically I kind of found this out last year. Don't put your deep up. Put a medium up. Let her come up, shake her back down. That way you got the bees up here. You don't have to let her populate like you would in a deep when you're doing your splits. And then shake her back down, put an excluder on her. And just let them keep grazing, and just let them keep drawing it up. So I kind of found that by accident, because maybe nobody wants all these bees, you know. I guess you can never have enough, but if you don't have the space for them, this is the way to do it.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
so you're putting the excluder on, you have the queen on the bottom and you want the nursing bees to go up. But they still think they have a queen, so they're not gonna, are you gonna, they're not gonna start a new queen?
they could. I've had it happen where you'll get occasion they'll start drawing out a cell. You have to watch.
But you want those then to split it, right? You want to.
Well, it depends if you're talking about the medium deep or the deep. Well, the deep, no, you want that queen up. Your purpose is you're gonna take that and you're gonna do something with it.
Right,
Or, yeah, pull the frames out, go make yourself some splits.
right.
You could take it, yeah, put it in another 2-framer or small nuke and,
So you're not putting you're putting the deep in the bottom, the queen in the bottom,
Mhm.
putting the queen excluder, and putting the other deep on top.
yes,
And then the nursing bees go up.
yes,
But they still think they have a queen, right?
yes.
So they're not gonna.
No, there's a chance up in the top, they could start drawing out, making a queen cell.
Really?
Yeah. I had it happen. You gotta watch.
How long till you split it off then?
You can split it off immediately. Once the nurse bees come up in 24 hours, 24 hours, they're coming back up. You can take that and walk away with that box and or take the frames, whatever you wanna do, and make your split for the 24 hours. Pardon?
I can do that with 3 frames if I like 2 low frames and if I like 2 deeps and supers.
Yeah.
I could do it with a 3rd deep and wait for a while.
I mean, if you want, but that's an awful, I think they would start tending to pack more nectar up there than they would.
I mean, short term, the 24, I've got so many bees in my hives right now, I gotta.
But, and this is not really for everybody. This is to me a quick way to make splits and make more bees.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I truly do like it.
How many hives do you have in your apiary that you can do 5 and 6 brood frames in each one before you have to make?
Well, right now, it kind of morphed a lot this year.
Yeah.
I think I got like 15 production colonies. And then the rest I'm doing 2-frame nukes. I bought a horizontal hive, so we have 2 colonies in that. And then in the back, I'm doing double brood colonies and single nukes. So I think I'm somewhere up to 40.
Yeah, so
Maybe
you have the
12.
real estate to move them around
Yeah.
too, yeah,
And well, it's in my yard.
yeah,
I mean, if I'm doing, when I go make a split. Jim taught me this, I'll close off the entrance. It's gotta be a cool day. You can't do it when it's hot. To cook them. But I'll shut the entrance off. I'll let them sit there for a couple days. I'll pull that hole full of grass. Let them work their way out, let them reorient, face them another direction, turn them 180
Yeah.
degrees, something. You're gonna lose some, but you're trying to keep most of them in your split.
Right.
That's what I do. 2 or 3 days if I can. So you wanna keep as many as you can in your hive without losing. I do, I try to do spot mite checks. That's one thing I kind of neglected over the past years. You gotta get in the habit of doing it. It's, they'll pay off in the long run. But you gotta get in the habit, at least spotting, I don't know, 5-10% of your colonies and rotate them. And see what you got, keep your mite counts in check. I don't use any summer treatment per se. I'll wait again till the fall before I do it. But it does require a lot of management time in it. I think once you get past the spring, starts to ease up a bit, so you don't have to worry about. Because they will, if you don't give that queen enough room down here, they will fill that up with nectar. And then they will swarm.
Mike, how many, when you inspect in the summer, like, how many frames of nectar would you typically have in a 10-frame box? I'm just curious.
I mean, I think, if you're going 10, I think you want at least 6 frames of brood. You can keep the 2 outsides full. Like right now, I know I've got a couple hives that I've not given room to, and they are starting to backfill where the queen should be laying right now in there. So, you've got to at least put a foundation, drawn comb. I mean, if you put this in there, that doesn't give them more room. You need something drawn out to give them more room. They don't look as this as room. You gotta have drawn comb. That way she can keep laying. But I found it, you can get a lot of honey going to single bee. I think a lot of it is your stuff that you have over the winter now becomes something that is sellable. Because I think a lot of you, when you go in over the winter with double heat, you've got a lot of nectar, you got a lot of honey left. It's frozen and crystallized. Feed it to the bees, I guess, and you know, what do you guys do with it? I've never
Yeah,
tried to
we get-
extract it.
You can hardly get the bees to eat it in spring, and there's so much other stuff.
Right, well, you gotta get it early in the year to do it. You know,
I spun mine out, it was like regular honey.
then you can, I don't. I never did.
Mine was like inch and a quarter. Stuff.
And then it's back after the flow is done. We're coming into early fall, I'll take a triangle bee escape. And let the girls all come down again. I'll keep a super on for, try to pick up a fall flow. If I can get a super 40 pounds per hive, good. And call it a year and then button it back up.
Mike, I got 100 bucks.
Ask away.
So during the summer, how many of these medians would you have on this side?
I got up to, I think 4 or 5 mediums on my hive.
Also, if you've got an excess of nectar frames in your deep body, in the deep body, what do you do with them? I know, because we run up on this a lot in our bee yard. Well, during the, peak nectar flow, you've always got lots of nectar.
Right, if I don't treat, as long as I don't have my apple bar, like anything down here in the bottom. This is theirs, I don't extract it, it stays, it doesn't go anywhere. I'll take it, if I feel I'm getting honey bomb, I'll pull a frame out. The foundation is your best friend. You gotta have, you don't have drawn foundation. That's what I'm doing this year, is I'm trying to get drawn out. You can never have enough of this stuff. It just gives you so much flexibility when you have it available. I find something honey bound, I'll pull it out and put it somewhere in a brood box somewhere else and drop another foundation in there, let them go with that. But I don't extract anything from down here. Now, when they come up here, it's a different story. I'll take out of here. Because I will, right now, I think I've got 3 deeps full of honey. Because I pulled splits out of them, but I just let them fill it back up. And then I'm putting, actually, I go underneath. I super under. They say it doesn't make a difference, I go under.
Well, I mean, the queen can't lay up there anymore.
She's not going up there. She is not going up there. And then I treat. I'll feed. I'll put the feeder shims on. And then back in, I kind of try to wait till we get late into the year. I found I'm trying to change a few things and go later in the fall, let it get cold before, we're not usually getting stuff, so we'll get rain, but late November, I think then I'll start really tighten them down, because it's a lot easier. We're wrapping felt paper because it's got to go into good weather, and nobody likes doing it in the cold, wet weather that we get here. It's not fun. This makes it easy. You just drop them in, close them up. I put ratchet straps on all of them because we had that nice windstorm, right? That we got this year.
Yeah.
6 of them went right over. Yeah, I didn't lose any of them, and they shifted, but they were all strapped together. Well, I mean, strap the boxes together. I don't strap them together, but the cinder blocks I had were not buried deep enough. Never had a problem. Then it was kind of a sandy soil. So I actually dug them down about 2 inches so they're in there, and then packed dirt around them and to keep them from going over. But it did. It took a 40-foot pine tree with that wind and just knocked it right over. So that was fun this year. Any questions? Yeah,
Yeah, you're successful with 10 frame, you don't people successful with 8 frame.
I was. No, to answer your question directly, I think you start to limit yourself in space. I mean, I don't, I mean, you need. Devin Rawns did a count, and I don't have that, I had some notes on it. I think there's 13,000 and there's 70,000 cells in a 10 frame hive, if I remember correctly. And if that queen is laying 1,500 a day, she should have enough to repeat and keep going as long as you give her room. I think when you go to an 8 frame and you start cutting into that. I think, not saying you can't do it, I think you just have to really watch it. And try it, you know, maybe you try, try a hive or two. And see how it works for you. I think it would require more management, just to make sure. It's not impossible.
We had another question from the online. Do you know what stage of the banana the bees eat, and do they eat the whole banana? or
Yeah,
just the
they
peel?
do. It's actually, the lady did a report. She did a research paper for the University of Montana, but she did it on studies that she went and researched out. It was they were different countries that were using this, but there's different stages of the bananas, and I think she classified it in 4 stages. It's just when the banana starts to freckle. Can't have a green one. It's I can find the link because I'm going to use it as research material for me, but you can't have a blackened one. Okay, it's got to be just when that banana starts to freckle, and they will eat the whole field.
Oh,
Yeah, and what I do is I take and cut just enough for them to eat. What I'm probably going to do is weigh out the patties and the banana and put in equal amounts, and and let it sit there. You can cut it in half, kind of mash it in, and let them have at it. Yeah,
So this banana theory is the supplement or replacement?
it's a supplement.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's ever going to replace pollen. They'll go to pollen 9 times out of 10 probably. But when you get a terrible wet season, or it's really cold, and you don't want them to set back on their brood, patties have come down, they're little, like, I forget what I paid for global. I think it was $70 for 40 pounds, maybe. So what is that? Not quite $2 a pound, $1 something, which, what's a banana? 44 cents a pound. The lady did a lot of studies on what vitamins and minerals that the banana has, and they get a lot of it out of the skin too. That's why they're drawn to it. But as far as, I think she just did a study to see if they would really take it. But as far as a comparison, I think I think the study should be done in the spring. Because A, you don't have your pollen coming in. B, the weather's bad. They're brooding up. I think that would be a better scenario to see how it ranks among, like, I got a Hive-like patty, a global patty, then a banana, and then I'm just gonna use a control and do nothing. And see if it made a difference.
Will you share that with us if you get done with it?
Yeah, it's
Sounds interesting.
I sent an email out to Randy Oliver. And you guys all know who Randy Oliver is, and he does a lot in the beekeeping world. And I asked him, and he kind of gave me the answer. I kind of thought that you may not see a lot of results. So he sends me back an email of other tests that he would like me to perform.
Send me your data.
Yeah, pretty much. He wants me to run like formic acid with a closed upper vent, and I mean, I just got the email today. He must have 5 experiments on it that he wants me to I haven't looked at, it. I don't know what's involved, I may be changing, or maybe I'll run what I'm gonna do and. Try one on his site since he went to the time. To respond to me, which I thought was very nice of him. So, but yeah, hey, I'm not right, you know, I can't say no to him now, I mean. We went through this time to respond, yeah.
Your high beetle trap, and I have those, you keep them on all.
I do, I put them on all winter, yeah, I do. And then I use the Swiffer, unscented. I'll cut them in strips, I'll put them on the back, maybe I'll get 3 strips out of here. I'll put them on the back here. It just, you know, every chance you can get to pick up one of them guys.
That's with a small high beetle.
Yeah, non-scented Swiffer. Works really well. Cheap. You can use a shop towel, you gotta get a different type, but I use a Swiffer. I usually don't see them till, I mean, I've seen a couple this year. But later in the year is when they start really, at least in my area, you start to see more of them. But they'll corral them up or keep them up on top I'll see them up on the top of them, on top of here. So I'm fine. Just give them a high tool test. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah,
Super newbies here.
yep,
What are you doing again with the foil?
the foil's my crown board. Instead, I got a stack of crown boards that I don't use anymore. To me, I think it gives you better R value, with it. It's cheaper.
It's like an inner cover.
It's an inner cover, that's your crown board, it's an inner cover. That's why I use it.
In the winter time, it helps keep.
Look at, if you think of your plastic hives. It's all thermal regulated, I mean, it's insulated. You know, it keeps them cooler in the summertime as well as keeps them warmer in the wintertime. And that's why I'm looking to try to go to a couple of them, I'm looking at it now. Because there's no maintenance, you don't do anything to these guys anymore, there's no paint in the boxes. You know, just to see if you know, if these start going, I may start to implement some of these and see how it works out. Yeah, you pay a little more upfront. You know, it's about $150 a hive. But how much coat of paint? You know, all the stuff that you gotta buy for the top and the bottom board and everything else that you do. I bet you're spending that or more over the long run. The other thing I do is I put a shim, little 3/8 shim here. Allows me to give them bee space. So when I put that on there, it sits up and I, you know, try not to squish as many as you can. But I do that. I go around and cut them and split them and just staple them on. I did paint them a lot this year because I was getting condensation here. You get the mold. In fact, this is one of my worst covers. It actually split here. Then I just took them and glued them and sent them back together and they worked fine. This is I ran out of, but I have tape in there. I use duct tape. I'll put a strip down here and that's how I make my notes. QR, queen right underline means I saw the queen and she's queen right. You know, if I mark the queen, you know, if I remove the frame, whatever I do, I leave my notes on here. I used to try to write this down in a notebook and that just is not, that's not feasible. You know, or do the little phone app, yeah, that ain't working either. You know.
You still keep pollen heading now?
No, that.
I mean, I was wondering if it's been so dry.
I mean, I think you would get less, I think the nectar would probably be the one that would suffer more than a pollen. At this time, it has been dry, but they're still bringing it in, you know, it's only been what, going on almost 2 weeks now, maybe, since we had rain.
And I think we're supposed to get rain on Sunday.
Sunday. Who knows how that happens? It goes north and south from us and we may not get anything, so. Is it only 20?
And at this point, whatever percent we get, we'll take.
Right. But I wouldn't recommend pollen, I don't think they're gonna take it. You know, someone else had a question over here. Any other questions? Try it, I would take one hive. Yeah. Yeah. Any bee supply should have them. I got these from Man Lake. This is a 2-inch hole, I think. I would probably, if I had to do it again, Man Lake doesn't advertise this plug. They have it, but it's not online. I had to ask for it. So the other one is a smaller one, probably 1.5 inch. And I probably would go with that one. But I kind of started with a 2-inch, so kind of stuck.
Had a 2-inch hole, so I quit.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going with, but I would go smaller, especially when you hit your nukes, you know, it's maybe just a little big, but. Go 2-inch, yeah.
So you're putting these supers on the bottom. You have access holes for your bees on the top then also?
During the summertime?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Nope,
When you put, do you have access holes anytime? Like
winter.
The winter time?
Just because, you know, maybe not prudent. Cleaning out the bottom entrance. Okay. They have an escape, you get a nice day in January, they can go out and make a flight. You know, with that guardian on there. It's, you know, maybe hard for them to drag out and it starts to build up. You know, I try to get out there, but maybe I don't get there as much as I should. But at least I got an escape for them, and they will use it. They will use it. So, and then, I don't know if it has a lot, you know, I for ventilation, my put ventilation holes in my quilt box as well. You know, all about trying to circulate the air. Does work. When I started going with this a couple of years ago, I had lost 8 hives because dummy me didn't realize. I thought the plug would seal, and it works great. You know, bees blew it during the summertime with the propolis. Well, in the wintertime, snow sat here. And then that freeze thaw gets brittle. And it leaked through here, and killed 8 or 9 hives. And they were just wet. You know, and then that's when I came up with the core blast after watching his video. And just basically I still leave the plug on. It's not gonna hurt nothing. And what I thought about doing this year, because these get brittle throughout the sun, just constantly beating on them. I thought about taking, and I have it, I just gotta do it. You know that foam, your crack foam that you spray? I thought about spraying foam in here. Letting it harden up, and any moisture that comes here would run off and stop this from wearing. These are a couple bucks a piece for these lids. So I thought about putting that foam crack in here, let it build up, and then that way it's a solid plug. I shouldn't have to worry about moisture because they will crack. The sun beats on here and splits them. So I thought I'll put an insulation foam here, and then I'll take this and I'll put this on the top like this. Now nothing is getting through. There's no rain. I don't have to worry about moisture coming in, drowning them. Any other questions? Try it, take a hive, try it this year. I think you definitely will see an increase in honey production. Shouldn't be uncommon to get over 100 pounds, even a little more. Yeah.
How often are you in your hives?
Right now, once a week.
So you got me thinking, so I've double deep frames, they're just bearding outside, they're ready to go. I could do that same thing then, my 2 bottom hives, funnel them all into 2 new bottom hives, and put my queen guard on. Put a good brood box on top of it and have them come up and then.
I mean, you don't have, right, you don't have to do it deep, if all you have is medium, do the same thing.
I like deep, so.
No, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. Deep medium.
Pull the bottom ones with the queen, move her away somewhere and away I go.
Yeah, like I said, watch Ian Stepler, watch Bob Benny, watch Devin Ron. They really do a good job of explaining it. And giving you the kind of the short version of it. I know Ian's video is probably 40 minutes long, or give or take, or something like that, but they all do a really excellent job and it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put the things down on the paper, if you guys want to take a chance to look at them.
Hey, you got one more question, Nick.
For the purposes for honey production, how does that happen? Is that because you're not storing as much honey in the brood boxes?
Yeah, you double brood, now it's become a honey super. That's the way I look at it.
Why it happens?
I believe so, I believe so.
I just didn't understand how. But I guess it's because you're not actually putting honey in a brood box.
Hey, right, I just think you're transferring it from being a brood box into a honey super. You know, it's gotta give her room, that is the key to this, it's gotta give her room. So. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you taking the time to come and explain the single. Hey, one item I need to ask the group about. Next month, our meeting is on July 3rd, so that's the first Monday of the month. And I think that's a pretty important meeting because Tom Rathman's gonna be here presenting
Oh, I didn't.
Hive pest and disease. So the reason I'm asking is July 3rd a good time to have a meeting with it being like the weekend before July 4th? I mean, is everybody here gonna be off traveling? I mean, are you telling me that you'd rather spend your July 4th weekend with me?
No,
We won't miss the fireworks. But what I'm asking is, if we keep our meeting on July 3rd, will that be okay with the group?
Monday.
It's a Monday evening. It's our first Monday of the month. It's our regular scheduled meeting. But we always ask when there's a holiday that butts up against it, because some people like to travel. Okay, so without hearing a whole lot of objection, I'm just gonna tell you, we're gonna have our meeting on July 3rd. As scheduled next month. I look forward to seeing everybody's smiling face. I think we have
We
something.
have door prize, so it's pure natural skin cream. It's,
You're a natural skin cream. Somebody's gonna win this.